My name is Rebecca Lynn Martinez. I'm 38 years old, and on March 15th, 2024, I died in the emergency room after my car was hit by a drunk driver going 80 miles per hour. I'm a single mom of 3 kids, Emma, who's 14, Jackson, who's 11, and little Sophia, who just turned 7. I work 2 jobs to keep us going, days at a medical office, nights cleaning offices downtown. I prayed every single night for my babies. I worried about them constantly. Would they be safe at school? Would they make good choices? Would they find God? I felt like I was fighting an invisible battle for their souls every day. The accident happened on a Tuesday night. I was driving home from my cleaning job, thinking about Jackson's math test the next day. Then everything went black. The drunk driver ran a red light and slammed into my driver's side door. The paramedics told me later that I died twice in the ambulance and once more in the ER. My heart stopped for a total of 11 minutes. But I wasn't gone. I was more alive than I'd ever been. The moment my spirit left my body, I felt this incredible lightness, like I was floating up through warm honey. All the pain was gone, all the worry, all the exhaustion from working myself to death just to pay rent and buy groceries. I looked down and saw my broken body on that hospital table. Doctors were pushing on my chest, shouting numbers. There was so much blood, but I felt nothing but peace. Then I heard singing, not like church singing, but something that made every cell in my being vibrate with joy. I turned toward the sound and saw a tunnel of the most beautiful light I've ever seen. It wasn't harsh like a flashlight. It was warm and alive, and it called to me like my own mother's voice. I started moving toward it, faster and faster, until suddenly I was standing in a place that looked like the most perfect meadow. Grass so green it almost glowed, flowers that seemed to dance in a breeze that felt like love itself. And walking toward me was a man I knew instantly, even though I'd never seen him like this before. Jesus. He wasn't like the pictures in Sunday school. He was tall and strong, with eyes that held all the love in the universe. When he looked at me, I felt like he knew every secret I'd ever kept, every mistake I'd ever made. Every night I'd cried myself to sleep worrying about my kids. But instead of judgment, all I saw was love so deep it made me fall to my knees. "Rebecca," he said, and his voice was like music and thunder and comfort all at once. "My daughter, you have fought so hard." I started crying, not sad tears, but tears of relief, like I'd been holding my breath for 38 years and could finally breathe. "Lord," I whispered, "I tried to be a good mom. I tried to pray for them every day, but I feel like I'm failing. The world is so dark. There's so much I can't protect them from." He smiled and reached out his hand. "Come, I want to show you something." When I took his hand, suddenly we were somewhere else. We were standing in what looked like a war room, but made of light and crystal. There were maps everywhere, not of countries, but of neighborhoods, of schools, of houses. And moving around those maps were the most magnificent beings I'd ever seen. Angels, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. But these weren't the gentle, harp-playing angels from Christmas cards. These were warriors, tall and powerful, with wings that seemed to be made of liquid fire. Some held swords of pure light. Others had armor that sparkled like diamonds. They moved with purpose, like a perfectly organized army. "What is this place?" I asked. "This is where the battle for your children is fought every day," Jesus said. "Every prayer you've ever prayed, every tear you've shed, every time you've called on my name for your babies, it all comes here." I watched in amazement as one angel pointed to a spot on one of the maps. It was my street, my house. I could see it perfectly, like I was looking down from above. "Watch," Jesus whispered. I saw my Emma walking home from school. She was 14, trying so hard to fit in with the popular kids. I'd been praying for months that she wouldn't give in to peer pressure, wouldn't make the mistakes I made at her age. As I watched, I saw 3 older kids approach her. They had something in their hands. I couldn't tell what, but I knew it wasn't good. That's when I saw him. A massive angel, at least 10 feet tall, stepped between Emma and those kids. His presence was so powerful that the older kids suddenly looked confused. One of them shook his head like he was waking up from a dream. They walked away, leaving Emma alone. But Emma never saw any of it. She just kept walking, headphones in, texting her friends. Every time you prayed for Emma's protection, Jesus said, you sent that angel to her side. Your prayers aren't just words, Rebecca. They're weapons in a war most people can't see. Tears were streaming down my face. She doesn't even know. She doesn't need to know. Your faith covers her. Then the scene changed. I saw Jackson at school, my sweet 11-year-old boy who struggled so much with anger. Kids teased him because we didn't have money for the nice clothes and shoes they had. I'd been praying for his heart that he wouldn't let bitterness take root. I watched as a group of bullies cornered him by the lockers. Jackson's fists were clenched. His face was red with anger. I knew that look. He was about to explode. But then, out of nowhere, a smaller angel appeared. This one looked almost like a child, but with eyes full of ancient wisdom. The angel placed a gentle hand on Jackson's shoulder, and suddenly my son's fist unclenched. Instead of fighting, he looked the biggest bully right in the eye and said, I feel sorry for you. You must be really hurting inside to be so mean. The bullies were so shocked they just walked away. That angel, Jesus said, has been with Jackson since the day he was born. Every night when you pray for his heart, you strengthen that angel's ability to reach him. I was sobbing now. I thought my prayers weren't working. I thought I wasn't enough. Oh, Rebecca, Jesus said, pulling me into his arms, you've never been fighting this battle alone. Then I saw the most incredible sight of all. The scene changed to my little Sophia's bedroom. She was asleep, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. She looked so small and innocent. I'd been worried about her nightmares lately. She'd been waking up scared, talking about dark things in her room. As I watched, shadows began creeping along her bedroom walls. They moved like living things, reaching toward my baby with what looked like claws. I wanted to scream, to run to her, but Jesus held me steady. Watch, he said again. Suddenly, the room filled with light. Not from any lamp, but from two enormous angels who appeared on either side of Sophia's bed. They were unlike the warrior angels I'd seen before. These looked like they were made of pure starlight. Their wings stretched across the entire room, forming a protective canopy over my sleeping daughter. The shadows hissed and retreated, unable to come anywhere near her. Every lullaby you sang over her, Jesus said. Every Bible verse you whispered while she slept. Every prayer you prayed over her little body. It built that wall of protection. Those angels don't just guard her body, Rebecca. They guard her dreams, her spirit, her very soul. I fell to my knees right there in that heavenly war room. I had no idea, I whispered. I thought I was just a tired, single mom saying the same prayers over and over. Jesus knelt beside me. Do you remember the night Jackson was born? I nodded. It had been a difficult birth. Jackson was born with the cord wrapped around his neck. For terrifying minutes, we didn't know if he would make it. You prayed 7 words that night, Jesus said. Please, God, let my baby live. Do you remember? Yes, I whispered. Jesus waved his hand, and suddenly I could see that night from a heavenly perspective. I saw myself in that hospital bed, exhausted and terrified. I saw the doctors working frantically, but I also saw something else. I saw an angel the size of a giant standing over the entire delivery room. At the moment I prayed those 7 words, the angel reached down and breathed life directly into Jackson's lungs. My son's first breath came not just from his own body, but from the breath of heaven itself. That prayer, Jesus said, didn't just save Jackson's life that night. It released an angel to be his guardian for all the days of his life. Every breath he takes is an answer to that prayer. I was shaking with awe and gratitude. Why are you showing me this? Jesus smiled. Because you're not done yet, daughter. You have more prayers to pray, more battles to fight. And I want you to know that every single word you speak over your children in faith reaches my throne. Every tear you shed in worry becomes a weapon in the hands of my angels. He stood and helped me to my feet. We walked to a balcony that overlooked the most beautiful city I'd ever imagined. Streets of gold, walls of precious stones, music and laughter everywhere. I want to stay, I said, and I meant it with everything in me. It's so peaceful here, so perfect, and I'm so tired of fighting. Jesus nodded. I know you are. You've carried so much alone. My kids, I said, the words tearing at my heart, they need me. Yes, he said gently, they do. Emma is about to face the biggest decision of her teenage years. Jackson is about to discover a gift I've placed in him that will change his whole life. And little Sophia, He paused and smiled. Sophia is going to see angels herself very soon. She's going to need someone who believes her. The weight of leaving this perfect place felt like it might crush me. I don't want to go back to the struggle, the bills and the worry and feeling like I'm never enough. Jesus took both my hands in his. Rebecca, you were never meant to carry this burden by yourself. Every morning when you wake up, thousands of angels are already at work fighting for your family. When you feel overwhelmed, remember what you've seen here. Your prayers matter more than you know. But what if I forget? What if I go back to worrying and doubting? Then remember this, he said. The enemy's greatest lie is that your prayers don't work, that you're fighting alone, that you're not enough. But I'm telling you the truth. Every prayer you've ever prayed over your children has changed something in the heavenly realms. Every time you've spoken my name over them, angels have moved on their behalf. He placed his hand over my heart. I'm giving you a gift to take back with you. From now on, when you pray for your children, you'll sense the spiritual activity around them. You'll know when to pray harder, when to fast, when to speak life over them. You won't see the angels like you do here, but you'll feel their presence. Suddenly, I felt a pulling sensation. The beautiful city began to fade. Wait, I called out. I have so many questions. Trust me, Jesus called back, and trust your prayers. They're more powerful than you know. The next thing I knew, I was gasping and choking, bright lights burning my eyes. I was back in my broken body on that hospital table. Machines were beeping frantically. A doctor was shouting, "She's back! We've got her back!" The pain hit me like a freight train. My ribs were broken from the CPR. My left leg was shattered. But none of that mattered. All I could think about was what I'd seen. The angels fighting for my children. The power of every prayer I'd ever prayed. A nurse leaned over me. "Ma'am, you've been unconscious for 3 hours. You died 3 times. We didn't think you were going to make it." I tried to speak, but my throat was raw from the breathing tube. Finally, I managed to whisper, "My kids, are they okay?" "They're in the waiting room," she said. "They've been praying for you." When I was finally stable enough for visitors, my children rushed into the room. Emma was trying to be brave, but I could see she'd been crying. Jackson held my hand so tight I thought he might break it, and little Sophia climbed right up on the bed next to me. "Mommy," Sophia whispered, "I saw pretty lights in your room while you were sleeping. They look like the ones in my room sometimes." My heart stopped. I looked at my baby girl, remembering what Jesus had said about her seeing angels herself. "Tell me about the lights, sweetheart," I said. "They had wings," she said simply, "and they were singing." Over the next few weeks, as I recovered in the hospital, I started experiencing exactly what Jesus had promised. When I prayed for my kids, I could sense things. I'd suddenly know to pray for Emma's safety, and later find out she'd avoided a car accident by leaving school 5 minutes late. I'd feel urgency to pray for Jackson's peace, and he'd come home telling me about how he'd stayed calm in a situation that would have made him explode before. The most amazing change was in my prayer life. I wasn't just asking God to help my kids anymore. I was commanding angels to move on their behalf. I was speaking life and protection and wisdom over them with an authority I'd never felt before. Angels of the Lord, I pray, I send you to surround Emma at school today. Protect her from every trap of the enemy. Guide her steps and guard her heart. And I could feel them going. 3 months after my accident, Emma came to me crying. She told me about the day those older kids had approached her with drugs. She said she'd felt this strange urge to walk away, like someone was telling her to go home. "I don't know why I didn't take what they offered me, Mom," she said. "All my friends would have, but something inside me just said no." I held her close and whispered a prayer of thanksgiving for the angel who had stood between my daughter and destruction. Jackson's anger issues disappeared almost overnight. He started writing poetry and discovered he had an incredible gift with words. Just like Jesus had said, he found his calling. He's planning to become a counselor now, to help other kids who struggle like he did. And Sophia? She still sees angels. She describes them to me in detail, and every description matches what I saw in heaven. She's not scared of them anymore. She calls them her light friends and tells me they sing to her when she can't sleep. 6 months after my death experience, I quit my night job. I didn't need it anymore. Opportunities started opening up I'd never expected. Better pay at the medical office, help from people I barely knew, provisions that came just when we needed them. It was like the angels weren't just protecting my children, they were fighting for our whole family's breakthrough. People ask me all the time if I'm sure what I experienced was real. Could it have been just a dream caused by lack of oxygen to my brain? All I can tell them is this: my life is completely different. My children are different. We have a peace and protection over our family that wasn't there before. But more than that, I have a confidence in prayer I never had before. When I pray now, I'm not just hoping God hears me. I know He does. I'm not just asking for help. I'm partnering with heaven to see His will done on earth. If you're a parent listening to this, I want you to know something that will change everything. Your prayers for your children are not just wishful thinking. They're not just words disappearing into empty air. Every single time you speak protection over your kids, angels move. Every time you pray for their salvation, their futures, their safety, heaven responds. The enemy wants you to think your prayers don't matter. He wants you to give up, to stop fighting, to believe you're not enough. But I've seen the truth with my own eyes. There's an invisible war being fought over your children every single day, and your prayers are the ammunition heaven uses to win that war. Don't you dare stop praying. Don't you dare think your words don't matter. Even when you feel like you're failing as a parent, even when your kids make mistakes, even when the world seems too dark and too dangerous, keep praying, keep speaking life, keep calling on the name of Jesus over your babies. Because somewhere in the heavenly realms, angels are listening, and they're ready to fight. The night I got home from the hospital, I tucked each of my children into bed like I had thousands of times before. But this time was different. As I prayed over each one, I could sense the presence of their guardian angels. I could feel the wall of protection strengthening around them. Emma's angel felt strong and wise, like a warrior scholar ready to guide her through the complicated years ahead. Jackson's angel felt gentle but powerful, like someone who understood the heart of a sensitive boy and would help him use his gifts to heal others. And Sophia's angel felt ancient and loving, like someone who had been waiting since the beginning of time to guard this special little girl who could see into heaven itself. As I kissed Sophia goodnight, she looked up at me with those big brown eyes and said, "Mommy, your light friend is back too." "My light friend?" I asked. "The one who was with you in the hospital," she said matter-of-factly. "He's standing right behind you. He says to tell you that you did good." I turned around and saw nothing with my physical eyes. But in that moment, I felt a presence so warm and comforting that I knew exactly who she meant. My own guardian angel. The one who had been with me through every struggle, every sleepless night, every tear I'd cried over my children. "Tell him I said thank you," I whispered to Sophia. She giggled. "He heard you, Mommy. He's smiling." That night, for the first time in years, I slept without worry. I knew my children were covered. I knew angels were watching over them. I knew that every prayer I'd ever prayed and every prayer I would ever pray was building an unbreakable wall of protection around my family. If you're wondering whether your prayers for your children really make a difference, I'm here to tell you they do. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've watched angels move at the sound of a parent's desperate cry for help. I've seen the enemy's plans crumble when a mom or dad speaks the name of Jesus over their kids. Your children may never see the angels fighting for them. They may never know about the times those angels stepped between them and danger. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. That doesn't mean your prayers aren't working. Keep fighting, parent. Keep praying. Keep believing. Heaven is listening and heaven is responding. Your children are more protected than you know, more loved than you can imagine, and more covered by prayer than you realize. The angels are fighting for your children, and with God on your side, you cannot lose.